As we may, we never did get that interview with Al Gore. Disappointing, really, because there was so much I wanted to ask him. I couldn't help but wonder, what if? What if I actually got a crack at him in that committee room? What if? What if?
And now we'll turn to questions from the committee. We'll begin by recognizing the gentleman from Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gore, I want to start out by saying for the record that those of us on our side are pro-environment. We all want clean air and clean water. I don't think there's any question about that.
I don't question your sincerity for one moment.
Well, I appreciate that, and I wish I could return the compliment, but there's just some things that bother me about the way you've been conducting your life, some of the things you've said over the years. For instance, you've stated repeatedly that CO2 is a pollutant, and we've had scientist after scientist testify before this committee that says that CO2 is not a pollutant. Do you dispute that?
I want to address the point that you made about the science. I believe that it's important to look at the sources of the science that we rely on. With all due respect, I believe that you have relied on people you have trusted who've given you bad information.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, we've spoken with numerous scientists that contributed to the IPCC report. Matter of fact, we talked with a lead author of the IPCC, and he vehemently disagrees with you as far as what the science is showing. And for years, this body has relied on you with your testimony on global warming, and for years this body has taken your testimony as fact.
What were you thinking?
I've been wondering the same thing. Let's get to your own life. In 2007, the Tennessee Center for Policy Research pulled your power bills at your Nashville mansion. They found that you were using more power in a month than the average Nashville home was using in a year.
It wasn't very convenient for them to do.
Well, convenient or not, they did it, and after the report, you were shamed into taking some action, and you changed a bunch of light bulbs. Now, you did put in geothermal, I have to give you credit for that. But your home still uses 10 times the power of the average Nashville home. That's not very green, Mr. Gore, is it? Now, are you embarrassed by that, or do you think that it makes you look like a hypocrite, or...
I'm proud of it.
You're proud of it?
Do you think there's something wrong with being active in business in this country?
No, sir, I don't, but I think you're missing the point. Let me ask you this, since you brought up making money, and there's been a lot of speculation out there, how much of your wealth comes directly from your fear-mongering over global warming?
I think I'll try to dance around that question.
Well, let me throw some figures out. We have heard that you made somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million off this. Does that sound about right?
Yes, no, I think you're right on target.
Well, you have multiple houses. You live the life of a king. Now, I want you to really think about this next question. If you had not been able to exploit this issue, how different do you think your life would be about right now?
Would be awful to contemplate. I have no idea.
Well, you may want to contemplate that because you were worth less than $2 million when you left office, right? And now you're worth over $100 million. So when this whole global warming thing starts to crash down, you may have to learn to live off a lot less.
I don't know how.
Well, let me assure you, and I think I speak for the rest of my colleagues here, it can be done. And that's part of the issue here that we're talking about. Part of this is about being able to relate to those who are lower down on the financial food chain. And everything that you're proposing is going to drive up costs. It's going to drive up the cost of gasoline. It's going to drive up the cost of electricity. All that in turn is going to drive up the cost of everything out there. And it seems to me that those who you're going to be hurting the most are those who are already hurting the most. And I'm talking about, of course, the poor. Would you agree with that?
I genuinely believe that. We look at the fact that poor and disadvantaged people in our country, as well as in the rest of the world, are those most likely to be victims of this. Indeed, many already have been.
Look, let's get back to your testimony. You testified that over 3,000 scientists with the IPCC spoke unanimously in their report that we are causing global warming. The Met Office says that there are only 152 scientists who worked on that report, and not all of them agreed, by the way, and there were only 9 scientists who worked on the chapter dealing with what might be causing global warming. According to how many scientists do you base this theory of yours that man is causing global warming?
I don't know how to say it. I wish I could find the words.
Well, it's not that difficult of a question. Is it 20, 30, 60? According to how many scientists do you base that theory?
According to one scientist.
No more questions, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.